Happy Wednesday, everyone. We got a fun little work set for you guys today. It's gonna be quick. It's gonna burn. It's gonna be a lot of cardio. So before we get to that, let's talk about our warm-up. Our warm-up is gonna consist of a plank to down dog for 3 to 5 reps, plank lean of 6 to 10 alternating reps, prone shoulder raise of 6 to 10 alternating reps, single leg bridge march for 20 seconds, taking that back and forth. Again, we'll talk about our focus there, but not rushing those movements right there. 2 rounds, getting everything fired up, getting the hips balanced out, getting the shoulders ready. They're going to move into a little bit more kind of finessing of the upper back and the core. We have our humeral glide to knee push-up for 3 to 5 reps. Humeral glide to floor facing angel, 3 at 3-second holds. Now you can alternate between these two back and forth. You don't have to do all the humeral glide push-ups and then all floor facing angels. If you want to do a floor facing angel, into push and back and forth, you can experiment with those and see where it takes you. Or you can do them as they're listed on the board. From there, plank to bear squat to side plank, 4 to 6 alternating reps. And I'll explain how that alternating rep scheme is going to work back and forth. But we'll make sure we're good to go there and make sure you're solid with that movement. Then you're going to finish off with a butt kick of 20 seconds and a run of 100 to 200 meters to get those bodies moving, get that heart rate up, and get you jacked up for what's about to happen. From here, you can take this down 2-3 rounds, work on some skill, finessing that kind of good push position, and then we're going to move into our workout. Our workout is 5 rounds, 200-meter run, so it's a short run into 15 burpees or squat thrusts. So it's going to be pretty fast turnover. It's really how hard you want to push those runs and or how hard you want to push those burpees. So we'll see where it takes us today. We're going to have a good time. There will be some other options in place of the run for your workout description, so check that out. Besides that, let's get you warmed up, let's get you ready, have some fun today. Let's get those feet under those hips, you guys. Let's take those arms big and tall up overhead. Let's shrug those shoulders to the sky, and then we'll pull them back down as we reach over to one side. And come back up and over to the other side. And come back up, and we'll forward fold, taking it all the way to the floor. We're going to walk those shins, we'll take it all the way down, framing the foot. We're going to step it back into our lizard. We're going to take that inside hand all the way up to the sky. Whoops, that's the outside hand. We'll take that outside hand all the way to the sky, and then we'll bring it down. We'll take that inside hand all the way up to the sky. There we go, that's right. We'll rotate. We'll come back up, big stretch, and then we'll rotate. And then we'll come back up, big stretch, and rotate. Back up, and then plant that hand. We'll take that outside hand up again, big stretch, and plant that hand. Step back into that down dog as we reach those hips. Set those shoulders good and strong. Let's walk the heels slowly, back and forth. Kind of waking up those calves, waking up those legs a little bit. Come back into our plank, step out of the foot up. Nice and square in those hips. Outside hand is going to reach up to the sky. We'll come back down. Inside hand is going to reach up, and then we'll rotate. Forearm to the floor. We'll come back up and rotate. Forearm to the floor. Back up and rotate. Forearm to the floor and back up. Planting that hand. We'll take that outside hand to the ceiling. Back down. Stepping back with the front foot into that down dog as we reach those hips, and walk our heels nice and slow. Just wake up those calves a bit, making sure things feel pretty good. We'll come back into our plank as we press the floor away, tiptoe those feet all the way up, and we're going to roll ourselves big and tall overhead. A little stretch to one side, stretch to the other side. Come down with those hands. Woo! Rock and roll, everyone. All right, so if there's any extra movement you'd like to take down for yourself, maybe some band work, some more cat-cow, thread the needle, just to get that body ready to go, please take the time to do that now. Pause that video, rock it. I'm going to get you going with that first phase of warm-up, which is really going to get that core and those shoulders ready to go. All right, we're going to start off with a familiar movement, plank to down dog. So we're going to get ourselves set up in that really strong plank. So hands just outside the shoulders. We're going to press the floor away a little bit, pull the ribs in a bit. Not crazy hard to get that big rounded back, but just an active upper back. And we're going to draw the hips back as I push through the floor, making sure those shoulders stay nice and stable, and softening my knees and ankles.
that good kind of hip angle going with that down dog. Then as I come through, I'm going to push the floor away, allowing that shoulder to stay in that strong position. And I'm just going to reset to make sure that I'm solid before I move back to that next down dog. So I really want to make sure that I'm taking the time to reset that shoulder position in between each rep if I can't maintain it on the transition. If I can maintain it on the transition, just give yourself half a second to make sure the shoulder's there, and then slowly flow back up into that positioning. Now from there, we're going to move back into our plank lean. So if you'd like to give yourself a little time off of the plank, you can do a couple cat-cows, thread the needles in between these two exercises. It's not a bad thing, just to get the shoulders kind of fired up again, and then get the core heated up as well in the same process. But the plank lean, I'm going to get myself established in that same plank. So hands are just outside the shoulders. I'm going to press the floor away a bit, pull the ribs in. I'm going to keep pushing the floor away as I shift to one side. I'm going to come through and shift to the other side. From here, I'll come back through to one side, continuing to press the floor away the entire time, and back to the other side. So I'm always pressing the floor away from myself. Again, not going into that big rounded cat back, but just enough to feel those shoulders, that upper back engagement as I lean from side to side. So really active through those shoulders. Now from here, we're going to lay on our stomachs. We're going to get a good little shoulder engagement through the core as well. We're going to lay on our stomach and get those arms out nice and straight to the front. Now from here, I'm going to push the toes into the floor, pull the ribs in, press the armpits down, and press those palms down. And from here, I'm going to try and keep that body nice and still as I lift one arm only up, hold for a couple seconds, plant it down, feel that position, hold, bring the other arm up, come back down. I'm going to alternate through that movement set for 6 to 10 reps. Really trying to isolate just the shoulder as I keep from head to toe as still as possible. So I really want to focus on keeping that body still and engaged throughout the entire process. Now after that, we're going to flip onto our back. We're just going to balance out our pelvis and work on a little bit of lower body engagement for what's to come in the run. So we're going to lay down. My feet are going to be outside of my fingers. So I'm going to get my feet and my legs at about a nice 45-degree roughly. I'm going to take my arms up to the ceiling. I'm going to push the shoulders up to the sky a little bit, pushing and pulling those ribs in a little to get that low back contact, just basically pulling my ribs neutral. I'm going to push through my feet, lifting up my hips, and I'm going to lift one foot. I'm going to push that foot down into the ground to lift the other. I push the other foot down, lift the other. So I'm really focusing on the pressure down into the floor, not worrying so much about how high that leg comes off the ground, but focusing on the pressure down into the floor to help balance out the pelvis and keep myself stable through the midsection. I guarantee you, as we start doing this, some of us will forget about the shoulders and they'll start to get a little lax. Check in with them every once in a while during this 20 seconds, but if they kind of turn off a little bit, I'm not super concerned about that right off the hop. Our primary focus is that lower body position, and then as we start to get really comfortable with that lower body position, then we can bring a little bit more awareness to the upper back to make sure that those shoulders stay engaged. But there's a lot to think about there. So primary focus, the feet pressing into the floor, arms are secondary, but we still want to pay a little bit of attention to them. But as that movement set gets easier, more comfortable with the feet, then you can bring more attention to the upper body. Now from here, we have a quick little recap. We have our plank to down dog of 3 to 5 reps, plank lean of 6 to 10 alternating reps, prone shoulder raise for 6 to 10 alternating reps, and a single leg bridge march for 20 seconds, alternating back and forth, focusing on that pressure down. Don't worry about reps, worry about pushing that foot down, control, pushing down, control. So don't worry about how many reps you get. It's more about time under tension and working on that transition of engagement. We have 2 rounds of that. Take it down, pause that video. We're going to come at you now with a little bit more skill work, moving into the burpee and working on that good push-up. So pause, rock it, come back and join me. All right, our first 2 movements here in this next phase are all going to be face down on our stomachs. basically in the same position. So I'm gonna get down here into this bottom position of my push-up. My hands just outside my chest and shoulder. My wrist is stacked right underneath of my elbow. Now from here, what I'm gonna work on is our humeral glide to knee push-up. My shoulders are gonna come forward where I don't want them in a push-up. They're then gonna come back and in to that good set position. I'm gonna pull my ribs in so I get my hips nice and balanced and neutral. Squeezing in there, I'm gonna push through those knees, and I'm gonna get that nice little knee plank position. Hands are under the shoulders and nice and solid. My core is tight and engaged, and I'm going to slowly come forward and down into that floor position, leading with my chest. My goal here with this movement is to make sure that I'm coming forward and down and finishing in that tripod position that I started in. So you can add in a tempo, you can not, but we want to make sure we're maintaining that tension all the way down to the floor and not release that tension until our chest is on the ground. Now from here, we can also play around and alternating. Our next movement is our floor-facing angel. So we have the same position. We start the same way. We pull the shoulders forward where we don't want them. We're going to pull them back to where we do. Pull the ribs in so the hips are neutral. And then I'm going to squeeze my shoulders, elbows, and hands off the floor, lifting them straight up, and then lower them down. And I'm going to work on that for 3 solid reps. So I'm going to set that shoulder position, pull it back, ribs, squeezing the shoulders, elbows, hands straight back. I don't care how high you get off the floor. I just want you to focus on the shoulders, elbows, hands coming straight off the floor and not trying to contort them in any way to get your hands off the ground. I don't care how high they come. I just want you to feel the engagement of pulling the shoulders and the elbows back. And if your fingers still touch, so be it. You have places to work and grow in that movement. If you'd like to, I mentioned earlier, you can alternate back and forth between our humeral glide knee push-up and our humeral glide floor-facing angels. You can go 1 for 1 and just alternate reps back and forth, and it's a really cool way to really help open up the chest and the shoulder. Once we're done our humeral glide to knee push-up and humeral glide to floor-facing angel, we're going to move into a nice little complex, a plank, bear squat, side plank complex. So I'm going to show you what that's all about here. You can do this a couple different ways, all right? First things first, it establishes through our plank. So my feet are going to be slightly outside my hips to squat stance. My shoulders are outside my hips, and I'm in my good solid plank position. I'm going to pull the hips back and down towards my ankles. From here, I'm going to push forward, and I'm going to rotate into my side plank. That would be 1 rep. Then I'll come back into my plank to establish position. I'll pull back into my bear squat, and then I'll push forward, rotate into my side plank on the other side. That would be 2, all right? So every time I hit that side plank would be 1, 2, and we're gonna hit that for 4 to 6 reps. Now, if the side plank is a little more challenging for you for balance purposes, that's okay. We can also take it a knee down and support it. So we still start in that normal plank position. We pull back as far as we can in our bear squat. We'll come forward into our plank, lower, and then rotate. So we're bringing that knee down for support. We just pop it back up into our plank, pull back, come forward through the plank, lower the knee, rotate, and open to the other side, and then come back through. The rep would still be counted the same way. We just want to make sure that we're balancing and getting ourselves set up in that side plank as best we can. Now from here, we're going to move into our butt kick. So it's a chance just to get up off the floor, get those legs moving a little bit more, and get ourselves going and getting ready for the run or our cardio piece of choice. So our butt kick again is just a nice smooth movement for posture and position in our run form. So my hands are going to be kind of in this 90 degree, like I was running back and forth. I'm going to pull my foot up underneath of my glute, and I'm going to stand up nice and tall. And I'm going to take it back and forth, nice and smooth in that kind of walk, marching pace, making sure
that my knee is coming slightly forward and my foot comes underneath. It's not a standing march. There's a difference in knee position and foot position. The standing march, my knee comes up and in front of my body, or what we want to think about is here, so it's lower, it's still coming forward, but it's lower so my foot is underneath of my hips. You can take that at whatever pace you want. A nice little marching pace, a jogging pace. You can get that going into a sprinting pace if you'd like, but we want to make sure regardless of the pace we're taking, that foot is still being pulled up underneath of the hip with our glute and our hamstring. So take the time, feel that out, make sure it's comfortable. It's a nice way to lead into your run or into your cardio of choice. From there, you're going to run 100 to 200 meters or cardio of choice about 30 to 60 seconds, just to kind of get yourself fired up on that apparatus or that choice of movement. And we're going to do it all over again. So you're going to take that down 2 to 3 rounds. Humeral glide to knee push-up, 3 to 5. Humeral glide to floor-facing angel, 3 at a 3-second hold. Remembering you can alternate back and forth between those two exercises if you'd like. Plank to bear squat to side plank, 4 to 6 alternating reps. Just holding each position enough to show control. And then we're going to move into our butt kick for 20 seconds, our run of 100 to 200 meters, or 30 to 60 seconds of cardio, and then we'll get you moving into that lovely work set. So pause the video, get yourself ready to go, figure out those movements, work on that skill in the push-up, because it's going to transition over into that burpee very, very soon. Alrighty guys, we've made it to the work set. What we have, 5 rounds. Run 200 meters into 15 burpees or squat thrusts. Very straightforward workout. There is nothing hidden in this workout. It's really how hard do you want to go, all right? So a couple things you can play with in this workout, all right, before we get to the movements. If you'd like to, you can make the run your primary focus and really push the runs, and then take the burpees a little bit slower. Try and use the burpee as a chance to recover, all right, just to flush your body and let your cardio kind of recover in a slower manner. Or you can really push both pieces and try and really push the pace on the run, come in off the run and just hit those lovely burpees right off the hop and see if you can maintain a steady state pace per round each time. So we have 5 rounds of work. It's going to be a doozy. That heart is going to get burning. Let's talk about the burpee for a second. The burpee, we have 2 variations. We have our full burpee or we have our squat thrust. So our full burpee, we get ourselves set up and we're going to embrace some of those things we practiced in our humeral glide to knee push-up. We're going to come down, pop back, and finish with that nice little hop. Or we come back, we step, lower, and step, or any combination of those 2 pieces. Key points to focus on is that elbow position, so stacked over top of the wrist, those ribs in, and that viewing point slightly forward, so not too far forward, but slightly forward to keep your head in a neutral position. So some really key points we can take from that humeral glide to knee push-up into our burpees, into our movement. Now the other variation of this movement is our squat thrust, and that's a non-push-up burpee. And there's some key points to think about here as well. We bring our hands down to the floor, pressing them to the ground, pop into our plank, pop them in, or we set the shoulders, step, and step into that nice plank. So key points here to focus on is hand under shoulder, all right? Locking those arms out nice and strong, that active pressure through the upper back, and then keeping that tension from hip to top of head, so my legs can be the dynamic piece and they just go in and out. So taking your time through that work set, really focus on those movements and take that time just to play and see where it takes you. Now with this work set, it's gonna get tough. Adjust your intensity as you need to. Play with it, see where it goes, but it's gonna be a great cardio experience and I hope you guys have fun. Pick maybe 1 or 2 things to focus on for the burpee and see where it takes you in today's work set. As always, work for quality. Have a ton of fun, you guys. Embrace that cardio burn. We'll see you tomorrow for some more fun to continue this lovely first week of September. Bye, you guys.